Hello, everyone. This time on Weeknight Mysteries, we want to cover a case that is breaking recent. Well, I wouldn't say it's breaking, but it's a case that is happening as we speak. We want to talk about the Nicole Baldwin's disappearance case. I had my eyes on this case for a couple of weeks now. I was kind of trying to see if there will be any more new developments, but this case is very all over the place, in my opinion. I'm here with my co-host, Rain. How are you?
Hello, everyone. As always, completely okay. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm actually very excited to record. It seems like we're back on our regular schedule, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of
External things happening.
hurdles
Yeah.
in the way of us talking about some more cases that we think it's important to talk about. And before we get going, I would like to immediately thank everyone who recently subscribed to our YouTube channel. We're getting a lot of subscribers recently, even if we're not producing that much content lately. So thank you very much. It really inspires us to keep going and produce even more stuff for you guys, and hopefully trying to improve the quality every time we record. Now, we did look into Nicole Baldwin's case a little bit yesterday together. We were watching an interview from Nicole's oldest daughter, who is 21-year-old Alicia. And I assume, Rain, you have a general kind of understanding of the case, but you have not really delved deep into the details of Nicole's disappearance, right?
Yeah, mostly just your stories whenever we talk about it. And I've seen the interview, and that's pretty much all I know about it.
Okay, so let me walk you through the details, and please stop me at any point during the recording if you want something for me to clarify, or if something is not understandable. 41-year-old Nicole Baldwin was last seen in Mount Dora, Florida, on November 2nd of last year, 2023. She disappeared from her family home just a day after celebrating her daughter's 20th birthday, so celebrating Alicia's 20th birthday. Nicole Baldwin is married to Brett Baldwin, but as far as I'm aware, they are de facto separated. They're still legally married, but they're not, I think they're not husband and wife in a typical sense.
Quick question.
Yeah.
It might be obvious, but just for clarification and so
course.
everything's clear. Do they still live within the same household, within the same community, or just completely apart?
Well, as you may know, right now things are in shambles for this family, unfortunately, and Brett has done some terrible things, and now he is, I believe, in police custody as well, and Nicole is missing. But at the time of their disappearance, I'm under the assumption that they were living together in that same house.
But separated.
They're separated, but they're living in the same house.
Okay.
So I assume they have their own boyfriends, girlfriends, and they're just all living together for the sake of, I believe, the kids, because they do have 3 kids. So I believe an 11-year-old girl, a 13-year-old boy, and a 20-year-old Alicia, who are their children. So at the time of her disappearance, she was living with her family in a home on Strathmore Circle in Lancaster, subdivision of Mount Dora, Florida. So Mount Dora is this smaller city in central Florida. It's, on Wikipedia, stated that it's basically known for having a very cozy, small town vibe. It has some lakes within the city. It has that, I would say, fairly typical Florida landscape. So Nicole and her family, I believe they were living in a rental house in Strathmore Circle, which is like this division of just homes. And I have an image for you how the neighborhood looked.
Looks like a typical neighborhood.
Looks like a very typical neighborhood in United States. According to her family, Nicole also suffered from mental health issues and was taking medication for anxiety and depression. And this is especially worrisome because if she's hopefully still alive, she is probably in need of those medications. And hopefully she would be able to get her hands on them if she is still with us. I want to talk a little bit about the timeline here, just briefly. So, on November 1st of last year, Nicole Baldwin celebrated her daughter's 20th birthday. The following day, Nicole was last seen, I believe by her daughter, but I'm not really sure who actually saw her last, in their home. And she was last seen, from the information that I was able to gather online, at 11:30 p.m. in the evening. Her daughter says that day, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Everything seemed fairly straightforward. Allegedly, Nicole walked out of the family home in a nightgown and no shoes. We actually have an image of the same nightgown that Nicole was wearing at the time of her disappearance. Also, it's important to mention that she had no shoes and she has not been heard from ever since that day. Immediately I want to mention there's a lot of confusion about how and when exactly Nicole disappeared. And I was cracking my brain for today in the morning and for, I think, yesterday in the evening. I was just trying to piece together some sort of like more accurate information about how exactly she disappeared. Alicia Baldwin, her 20-year-old daughter, lived at the house as well. And as far as I'm aware, she was kind of living there on and off from the information that I was able to gather. And after celebrating her 20th birthday, she, I think, spent a few days outside of the house. And she returned a few days later back to the house, and then she found out that her mother was still missing. So immediately this raises a question to me. If the family house, within the family house, there are 5 people living there as far as I'm aware. That would be Brett, the husband, Nicole herself, Alicia, 20-year-old daughter, and the 2 younger children. So if Nicole is missing on the 2nd of November, why is she only reported missing when her daughter comes back a few days later? And I believe this was on the 5th of November. To put a little bit more perspective on these dates, the 2nd of November when she went missing was a Tuesday or a Thursday. I actually cannot really remember here. But she was reported missing on a Sunday. So if it was 3 days, so Thursday. So she went missing on a Thursday. She was reported missing on a Sunday. And to me, this is strange because who is actually reporting her missing? That's my question. Another question I have, why are there no alarm bells ringing on the 3rd and 4th of November? Why is she reported on the 5th of November if she left the house on the 2nd in her nightgown without any shoes at 11:30 p.m.?
That's true.
And she hasn't returned home for 2 full days. It seems like from the information that I was able to gather online via like news articles, seems like Alicia, her 20-year-old daughter, was the one who reported her missing or was the one who raised the alarm that she's not home. So I'm thinking, what is Brett
What is everyone doing?
What is everyone doing? Yeah, exactly. That's a very strange, it's just not it feels like we're definitely missing some information of what actually happened during those days.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they were posting on social media trying to find her on their own. Did you see anything?
So Brett, the husband, from what I'm aware of, did not at all participate in trying to locate his wife.
Suspicious.
So on November 5th, her family filed a missing persons report with the Mount Dora Police Department when they couldn't contact her. Nicole had also left all of her belongings behind at home, including her smartwatch, purse, bank cards, and her car. Her car was apparently at her then boyfriend's house.
Oh, so the boyfriend wasn't living with them?
No, the boyfriend was someone else, someone who wasn't living with him. And I have some information about the boyfriend, and it's gonna come up in a little bit. But let's proceed here. There has not been any activity on any of her credit cards and no large cash withdrawals prior or after she went missing. And yeah, so my general thoughts, I have some notes here because I was preparing to talk about this case, and the things that don't really add up for me was the fact that Nicole was last seen at home on November 2nd, which was a Thursday. I can confirm now it was a Thursday at 11:30 p.m. And she was reported missing on November 5th, which on Sunday, and I have no idea by whom and why there were no alarm bells raised. Maybe Nicole walking out like that wasn't completely out of the ordinary. But this is just pure speculation.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. But I'm just kind of speculating that maybe since she had a boyfriend who had her car, maybe Brett was just, maybe if he already had his own girlfriend, they were just legally married together. Maybe I'm thinking there's a chance that Brett is not really considering that there could be any potential issues with his wife not showing back home. Maybe they had a fight or something on the 2nd, and maybe he was expecting her to come back in a day or two. Maybe he was assuming that she left and got picked up by a boyfriend or something like that. That's like the first thing that kind of jumped to me, because I can't really piece together this at all. And another thing I would like to mention is that Nicole, at the time of her disappearance, from my research, was working for DoorDash. This explains why, I guess on Friday, she wasn't really missing from work, because when you work for DoorDash, you basically make your own schedule. DoorDash is like Bolt Food here in Lithuania. You basically just deliver food to people.
Accept an order, deliver it.
Yeah,
then.
whenever you can. So it's not like, she's missing on Friday and her work also reports her missing. So no one really was, from the employment side of things, no one was really, I guess, missing her on Friday. Ever since then, ever since the disappearance, Nicole's husband, Brett Baldwin, had moved to Wildwood from Mount Dora following his wife's disappearance. He had plans to move to North Carolina in the near future. Now, Wildwood is pretty close to Mount Dora. Both of these are little towns in central Florida. On December 12th, this is where the story gets deeper. On December 12th, the same husband, Brett Baldwin, was arrested for possession of obscene material after police found child CP on his cell phone while executing a search warrant at his home. I believe the story goes along the lines that after Nicole went missing, I believe somewhere by the end of November, so it's interesting that it took law enforcement almost the entire month to start searching the family house. They collected electronic devices, and on Brett's iPhone, they found some disturbing content. On November 28th, detectives with the Mount Dora Police Department seized Brett Baldwin's iPhone while executing a search warrant on his home. Court records show that. Authorities alleged that they found 31 images and videos depicting CP abuse on this iPhone. Brett was arrested and is facing a federal charge for possession of CP, according to Marion County Jail records. It's beyond horrible. This is what a neighbor told the media. Multiple neighbors told Fox 35 News their kids would play at the Baldwin's house. They thought they knew the family pretty well and said it's been difficult to grasp the thought that they may have been so wrong about a man they'd trusted up until just yesterday. He seemed really nice, a neighbor told the media, like a regular parent in the neighborhood. Brett Baldwin's arrest affidavit said he brought his 11-year-old daughter and 13-year-old son to his mother's house in Wildwood, but had been planning to move to North Carolina. It's pretty spooky, one neighbor told the media. according to court records, he was working as a plumber at the time of his disappearance. And so this is where the case kind of what goes haywire. It turns from it being strange because the timeline doesn't really make that much sense to me personally. And it goes from the timeline not making sense to now we're adding another kind of disturbing part to this story, and it makes you question. And I was talking with you the other day about this detail, and I remember asking you, is there any way that by accident you would kind of have some CP on your phone? And I think we concluded that there is almost no way to have it. Because I'm a pretty avid internet user. Like, I search a lot of things on the internet. And in my life, I've never seen any CP material ever. And I feel like I would be someone who would probably be more likely to stumble upon something like that if it was available easily. So to me, it seems like there's no way to just stumble upon CP by accident. On top of that, 31 images, and I assume they were probably saved on his device memory space. So that's all I wanted to say, is that there's no way this is an accident.
Plus, you're always researching about horrific cases.
Exactly.
Mysteries. And never, not even once, did you see anything that could be CP material, right?
No, and it's bizarre because you can fairly easily see very disturbing footages or images from true crime cases, very disturbing kind of scenes from crime scene pictures, etc. That's available. You could even find it on Reddit. It's very easy to find. But that's something that you don't ever find. I think it's because maybe the way the internet works, it kind of gets filtered out.
Censored, right?
Yeah, so I think you really have to be... Wouldn't you agree that you really have to search in order to have something like that on your
Finding
phone?
one is already like improbable. Finding 31, it's just intentional. He was looking for it.
Yeah, I have no idea how they even ended up on his phone. So that's a new kind of part of the puzzle, and we will kind of sum up all of this information a little bit. A $5,000 reward is being offered for information leading to Nicole Baldwin's disappearance. As we speak, the circumstances of Nicole's disappearance remain unclear, and her case is currently classified as a missing persons case. Her case remains unsolved. Detectives have not publicly named a suspect or a person of interest in the case, but from the research that I was able to do in the last couple of days, I think we have a few people that we want to talk about for sure. Physical description of Nicole is that she is a white female with a brown or blonde hair and hazel eyes. She stands at 5'5", and she's around 135 pounds in weight. Nicole has multiple tattoos, including her children's names, with 3 hearts on her upper right arm, a sleeve of flowers on her left arm, a star and scroll design on her lower back, the words "live the life you love the life you live" on her right back, also words of "rest in peace mom until we meet again" with an infinity heart on her upper right leg, and a heart and flower on her right foot. The official investigative authority for Nicole's disappearance is Mount Dora Police Department, and we urge anyone with any information to contact Mount Dora Police Department with the phone number that we will leave in the description of this episode of Weeknight Mysteries. So that's generally like the introduction. And what is your kind of sense so far? I have more things here that I want to kind of bring up, some more details that I'm not sure if you're aware of, but generally speaking, what are you thinking so far?
Everything's pretty odd, actually. Like, how many days has passed before she was reported missing is already odd. And the fact that eventually there were some CP materials that were discovered, it raises so many alarms. Like, I don't know, it really makes you question, like, are people who are into CP, are they immediately bad? Like, do you think are capable of murder?
I was always under the assumption that
I mean, they're already bad.
Well, yeah, I think they're. I mean, I have no idea what they're
Right?
feeling, but in my opinion, it was always the case that they are not right in the head. Some sort of chemicals are not there.
Yeah.
And I think there are possibly two types of people that I would group, like just generalizing. One type would be the people that would actually act upon their urges, and the other type of people that would just search for the material, but probably would not act upon the urges. And I'm pretty sure there's probably people doing statistics about this and psychologists investigating this issue. But that's my general understanding, that there's two types of people. And I feel like both types are really terrible, because obviously the people that would act upon it, you don't even have to talk about it, but the people that would search for the material, they still support the material's existence in the first place. So it's just terrible in every way. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
I actually have no idea. I'm completely clueless about this part. Like, even if they act upon it or not, are they capable of, like, something more horrific, like murders and those kind of degrees?
You're trying to connect people who would be looking for CP and now, like, more, like, let's say, crimes that are not CP related.
Yeah, I'm just trying to connect if the husband who was already looking for CPs, immediately terrible, disgusting, could it be capable of, let's say, the disappearance of his wife?
I mean, anyone's capable. I feel like you don't have to be looking for CP to be capable. And I'm not sure if there's a
connection.
It depends. I mean, you're already likely to do more nefarious things if you have something that will literally put you in jail if police find that on you. So I think so. I think you're already kind of doing something really bad.
Yeah.
So doing some more bad stuff, it's kind of part of the same pattern. Do you know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah. Wait. So
yeah, sorry. No.
I just wanted to ask, like,
of course.
is he the husband? He's gonna go to jail, right? Even if it's not proven that he did something to his wife.
Yeah,
immediately.
I assume, yes, he will go to prison. He's already in custody.
Oh,
I think.
Nice. Okay, that made me feel better because of the CP.
Because of the CP.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So this is where the story kind of took another weird angle just recently. We have another update about the case, and this update comes from January 19th, so literally just less than a month ago. On Friday, January 19th, the Mount Dora Police Department executed an investigative search warrant related to the continued search for the missing person Nicole Baldwin. Now, after the husband of the missing Nicole Baldwin was charged with possession of CP, police have now reportedly searched the home of a woman who has been organizing community searches for Nicole Baldwin, Terry Rogers. So Terry Rogers is this woman who has been organizing searches for Nicole Baldwin. She also created a Facebook group for missing Nicole Baldwin with over 1,000 people there. I actually tried joining that group twice in the last couple of days and I got declined, so I'm not able to join that group, so I'm not really sure what they're talking about. Miss Rogers spoke to the media outlet and said that the department searched her phone as well as different computers in her residence. She said that police think that she has withheld information. Maybe they're thinking that since she created that Facebook group and she has been leading the search, maybe that she knows something more about the case. But it's an interesting angle that the police would actually go into the house of seemingly a good Samaritan who literally is just trying to help out a woman that she doesn't even know. Terry Rogers doesn't even know Nicole Baldwin. They're just from the same city. And she said to the media that I've done nothing wrong. All I've done was given my time and my emotions and my heart and soul for looking for Nicole. Miss Rogers told News 6 Orlando. Terry Rogers has put a lot of effort into finding Nicole Baldwin. Terry does not know Nicole personally, but she was compelled to help bring Nicole home because she also suffers from an unanswered missing persons case where there are unanswered questions about the mystery of her niece, Tonya Lee Whipp's disappearance. Tonya, who is 38, was last seen in Auburndale in Polk County sometime between May 28th and June 1st, but she was not reported missing until June 29th. According to law enforcement. So that case is something I'm also interested in, and I will probably dig into it a little bit. But so seemingly a good Samaritan just tried to search for, Nicole Baldwin to kind of organize some searches and created a Facebook group. And police had raided her house and took her electronic devices. What do you think here? What do you think is happening? I don't personally, from what I looked into, I don't think Terry Rogers did anything bad here. The only thing she really did was try to help out her community, being a good person for the community, and that's very respectable in my opinion. But at the same time, what do you think is the angle here? What do you think the police are doing here by collecting her phone? And police, to our knowledge, maybe are thinking that she has withheld information about Nicole's disappearance because obviously she's getting contacted by a lot of people. Maybe she's also getting a lot of tips about Nicole. Who knows? Maybe Terry Rogers has received a lot of different information. And maybe law enforcement there was nothing more than law enforcement just thinking, okay, let's get a hold of her electronic devices. Let's see who has been texting her, because maybe law enforcement is looking at this woman, Terry Rogers, as the first point of contact for tips, at least from Facebook.
Yeah, I actually don't see any bad thing, or I don't have any bad impression towards her. It seems like she's just a genuinely nice person who wanted to help out because she had the first-hand experience of losing a family member. And,
exactly.
Yeah, never having a closure from it. And in terms of the police raiding her house, maybe because she wasn't reporting what she had. Maybe they found it suspicious. Maybe they need more information. I don't know why they had to raid her house, though.
Yeah, me neither. Sorry.
Drop the pen.
So I wanted to bring up some more details that I've been able to kind of uncover. And these are details that I'm not really able to verify, but just things that I was able to pick up. So I would like to mention the fact that, firstly, Brad Baldwin, according to my source, has not used the media to help his wife, and authorities have seized his vehicle as well. So what do you make of the fact that Brad Baldwin did not seemingly participate or did not advocate for the search of his missing wife? Obviously, right now he can't do that because he's, as I'm aware, in custody. But when he wasn't, he does strike me as a man who didn't really care that much about what was happening to his wife.
Yeah, I also had that impression. Maybe they didn't have a good relationship. Maybe he secretly hates her. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't care at all. Or maybe he was the one who did it. I don't know. It's like only one way or the other.
Yeah, so Brad Baldwin and Nicole Baldwin are separated as far as I'm aware. And I think Nicole Baldwin had a boyfriend at the time of her disappearance. And the boyfriend, from what I gather, did not live in the family house. And some people even are saying that he was an ex-boyfriend. So we don't know if that boyfriend was the current boyfriend, if he was an ex-boyfriend. Some of Nicole's social medias state that she is engaged to a man named Matt. But this information could have been outdated. So this man, Matt, could be her boyfriend who had her car at the time of Nicole's disappearance. And I've also took a look at what a fellow YouTuber, JLR Investigates, which is a YouTube channel, and this man, JLR, he has been conducting a lot of good research on this case. Honestly, he has done more for this case than the media so far, because when you go to his YouTube channel, you find way more information. We actually yesterday looked at the interview with Nicole's oldest daughter, Alicia, and we have some thoughts about that in a little bit. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But now this man, JLR Investigates, he found out by some sources of his that this man, Matt, is actually Matthew Maxwell. And he was, I'm not sure if he was interviewed by JLR Investigates or not, but JLR Investigates found some more information about this Matthew Maxwell, who was the boyfriend of Nicole. He was arrested on December 13th. So like a month and
For what?
For apparently burglary and something like that. And he got arrested a month and a half after Nicole went missing. And apparently he was the one who had Nicole's car at the time of her disappearance. And he's the one who called Alicia, the 20-year-old daughter, to come get the car on the 4th of November. So 2 days into Nicole's disappearance, but 1 day before Nicole is formally reported missing, because he was at a hospital for unknown reasons. We do not know why he was in the hospital. So immediately I'm immediately in my head, the picture is getting painted here that, he's in a hospital for unknown reasons. He has the missing woman's car and she's missing now for 2 days. So isn't this just all a crazy coincidence? And then also has been charged with something. I can't really talk about it because I don't have the court documents, but he was charged, I believe, with burglary or something like that, but this is speculation on my end, on the 13th of December. And this is very just paints to me a pretty bad picture. What do you think about this information?
Yeah, I think so too. It paints a really bad picture, but the lack of information is quite concerning because we couldn't really make any assumptions yet.
Yes, and then I believe I was able to find Matthew Maxwell's Facebook account, and in the Facebook account he has some pictures with a different woman from Nicole, so he may have already have a different girlfriend from Nicole. I'm not really sure.
That was quick.
Yeah, it's something that we should not necessarily delve super deep into it, because this is all coming from secondhand sources. I don't really have any first-hand accounts of any of this. So I just want to make a huge disclaimer that we're just kind of talking about Nicole Baldwin, and we're trying to, bring up this case to more people. We're not really trying to point a picture to anyone, at anyone, I'm sorry. Another person who was interviewed by that JLR Investigates YouTube channel was Alicia's boyfriend or her ex-boyfriend. So another younger man who apparently was also living with the family for a little bit. So, Alicia is the 20-year-old daughter.
Oh, okay.
And her boyfriend, who's also around her age, was also living with them. Apparently he came from somewhat of a troubled past, and Nicole took him in as his son. So he is very fond of Nicole and almost considers Nicole as his mother. So
that's nice.
Yeah, Nicole seems like a very nice person from all accounts. So he said that Nicole was working at DoorDash. This is the information that I got. Also, he said that Nicole and Brett had their own boyfriends already. So they were just living in the house together, but they were never really doing anything that, a typical husband and wife would be doing.
That's a pretty odd arrangement, though.
It's an odd arrangement, but I'm kind of under the assumption that it's financially and for the children kind of based decision, because they have young children together and maybe it's just easier for them. It's an odd arrangement, but I don't think it's that strange. It's strange, but it's not something
to write home about.
Yeah, it's just whatever, people living their life, right? Now, he doesn't think that Brett was actually involved in Nicole's disappearance. And he also said that apparently everyone in the house kind of knew a little bit about Brett's secret with the CP, but no one really brought it up. It was kind of a situation where, yeah, there was a lot of problems in that house, and there was tensions about it potentially. There was something that he said about like his Nicole grabbing his phone once and he getting super defensive about the phone, trying to get it back immediately. It was just bad.
But were there any reports that the children were assaulted in any way?
No, not from what I'm aware of. I can't really speak on that. But he also said that boyfriend, Matthew Maxwell, should be considered a suspect because he was also problematic. So that guy that we just talked about, the guy who got charged for something last December, he also should be, according to the boyfriend of Alicia, should be investigated. And this brings us to another character in the case, Alicia Baldwin, the 20-year-old daughter of Nicole Baldwin. We have been talking about her for a little bit. I want to bring up some information that she kind of told the media. She said that it almost feels surreal right now. I never would have thought, watching all these crime shows until it happens to you. It's just a crazy feeling, Alicia told the media. She added that her mother is on medication for depression and anxiety. Alicia told Click Orlando News that they were in the process of moving out from that house when her mother vanished, and she said that going on without her has been ridiculously hard. We were supposed to be moving out of this house together. Definitely a rough step doing this without my mom here. Hopefully the cops can come up with something, the investigators. That would be the most helpful thing right now. Alicia said her mother has taken some time to herself in the past, but never like this. Interview with JLRE Investigates, remember? JLRE Investigates did an interview with Alicia some time ago, and we looked at that interview. It's basically Alicia in one of the search party rallies, something like that, earlier on in the investigation. I think this interview happened a couple of months ago. What are your thoughts about that interview? Because we watched it together. What are your thoughts about Alicia talking about her mother's disappearance?
That interview, for me, in my complete opinion, was so strange. It's really strange. The manner Alicia was speaking at, it's a little too casual for me, for someone whose mom is missing. And it seemed like in that interview, she talked more about her phone or their phones instead of her mom. I don't know, I was putting myself in their shoes. What if my mom is missing? I wouldn't care about my phone. And if I would ever talk about my phone, I would say it in a way like I needed to contact people, I needed to update my dad, update my family members, update those search parties, and that's pretty much it. I wouldn't be that concerned about it because there are more pressing matters, like my mom might be dead somewhere alone. And I don't know, it's just pretty odd to me. What do you think about it?
For me, she seemed like she was someone who didn't have a very great relationship with maybe anyone in the family. I'm not saying she's like hating on them, but she definitely, I think, wasn't in the best possible situation, especially now that we know what her father had on his phone. And, it's just definitely not the standard upbringing for sure. To me, she kind of seemed a little bit self-sufficient in the sense that when I was 20, I wasn't that self-sufficient. She apparently had a job and was like worrying about bills and things of that nature. So I don't really think I can even relate because I feel like I was very sheltered in my life. I don't think I was like that when I was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also had that impression. Like, she probably did not have a very close relationship with her mom, or she
Yeah,
was
that's
just all on her own, just really just trying to live life
yeah. So I
all
wouldn't.
alone.
I know, and I've looked into the comments, and a lot of people are finding the way she talked about her missing mother very strange. And the JLR investigates later on claimed that now he suspects that she knows more about her mother's disappearance than she told the law enforcement. And I don't know whether to believe that or not. I wouldn't want to judge these people like that, but I'm just kind of, we're just kind of talking about what
Yeah.
we know. So I just wanted to bring that up, that a lot of people are thinking it's suspicious. I'm not gonna go in any way with this because I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but at the same time I kind of see the point of the people who kind of think that she was a little bit, because it wasn't how you would typically see someone talking about their missing family member.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't a typical thing, but maybe if you're not from a typical situation, maybe that's kind of normal for you. I don't know. We can only guess. And this moves us to the questions of this kind of case, because I have wrote down some questions and I do not understand a few things. So the first thing I want to ask you, and I guess the audience members, because please chime in, what do you think? How did she leave and was seen leaving the house last? I'm talking about Nicole Baldwin on the 2nd of November. She was last seen wearing a nightgown. So did her family see her go to bed and they just woke up on the 3rd and she was not there? Or did they physically see her exiting the house at 11:30 p.m.? Because they have a timestamp. If they have a timestamp of 11:30 p.m., to me this kind of paints a picture that they physically saw her leave the house without shoes, with a nightgown, without her personal belongings, and maybe they just went to sleep. Maybe they thought that she was gonna meet with someone,
Yeah.
and then she never returned back home, and then it took them until that same Sunday, 2 days later, to formally report her missing.
I always assumed there might be a camera somewhere there in front of the house, but it's because there's a timestamp.
Timestamp.
Yeah, timestamp. And I don't know, maybe there wasn't. Or
But maybe there was. Maybe this is just the piece of information that we don't have.
Yeah.
Maybe actually she was captured on some sort of CCTV footage that just was not released.
Because it was a little too detailed. She was wearing a nightgown, barefoot, by 11:30. It seems like something from a camera. She was captured from a camera or something.
Yeah, but this type of outfit does kind of also would paint a picture to me that, since they have been moving out, in the process of moving out, and maybe there's some friction in the family.
She just walked out?
There was a fight about maybe who gets to keep what and this and that. And I don't know even if Brett and Nicole would be still together when they were moving out, or who exactly was moving out of the place. I don't know. So I'm just assuming that there could have been some friction, and maybe that's what happened. And this type of an outfit screams to me that there's some sort of an altercation in the house between someone. Nicole walks out the house barefoot with a nightgown, didn't take any of her stuff, and then just gets a ride from someone. But at the same time, it's so strange because she didn't even grab a phone. I feel like even if you're in that situation, you would at least try to get your phone, because how exactly are you even going to contact the person who's going to pick you up? So maybe that's actually not what is happening. Maybe there was no altercation. Yeah.
Unless you don't have any intentions to come back.
Unless you don't have... What would that mean? Suicide?
Yeah.
Suicide theory? Yeah, because she was talking about... It was reported that she had medications for depression. So maybe that, but that's just not something that it was reported. And I feel like the general consensus was, at least online, that she would not have left her children. Apparently she really loved them.
Yeah.
And yeah, actually I've looked into her some of her social medias, because she still has social medias up and running, at least on Instagram. And yeah, she has been posting about her children like participating in sports and stuff like that. So she has, you know.
Yeah, but then again, she has depression and anxiety, and you never know when those things come up.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But
They just strike.
At the same time, I don't think we can't just take it immediately, like as a fact, because sometimes you get medication for depression and anxiety as a secondary medication from something else. I've seen someone online claiming that they would get medication for depression and anxiety because of their initial medication for ADHD. So people who are getting treated for some sort of an illness, they would get sometimes, I think, prescribed additional medication for that.
For the side effects.
So we can't really say.
You're just making assumptions.
No, but that's a very good assumption. And yeah, we never really talked about the suicide theory. But at the same time, just for some reason, it just never for me, after looking into the case, it never really felt like that's the case. It really feels like she's missing. And it always kind of seemed to me that there's some sort of foul play happening in Nicole's case, at least for me personally.
Is there any body of water or maybe like a dense forest around?
Yeah, there's definitely bodies of water in the general vicinity, especially in Florida. I think there's even more bodies of water than anywhere else. There's lakes and definitely places that definitely where an accident could occur.
Do you think it's possible that she just left in the middle of the night to get some air, and then somewhere along in the dense forest or in the body of waters, something happened in there?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out. I definitely wouldn't rule that one out as well. Another question I have is, why was she reported on the 5th? So we assume that maybe Brett, the husband, if he was home, he just didn't really care that much at that point, or didn't think it was of any concern. Maybe
what about the kids, though?
The kids, yeah. So Alicia was out somewhere for the couple of days. And I feel like the 11-year-old and 13-year-old, they're just, their mom's missing. They might think it's strange, but, when you're 11 or 13, you're not going to call the cops yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
You're basically just hoping that an adult will explain to you what's happening. So maybe that's what was happening there. So the fact that she's reported on the 5th is strange. And
it's pretty strange.
That she left in a nightgown, barefoot, and then she's only reported a couple of days later. Very strange.
But then again, it's not that strange because there were only 11-year-old and 13-year-old kids in the house and the husband, who maybe doesn't really give that much care.
Yeah.
And so maybe they were just like, oh, she's on her boyfriend's or something. She'll come back soon.
Yeah.
And then 3 days after, she still isn't back. And Alicia, the daughter, came back and was like, this is weird. Let's report it.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think that's maybe what was actually happening. But I ran out of the questions. As I've said, very strange case, very strange details that I can't explain at all.
What do you think happened? Like, what's your assumption here? What are you going for?
It's impossible to say. I can't really say because I don't know the relationship between Brett and Nicole. I don't know the relationship between Nicole and her boyfriend, Matthew. So I really don't know. I guess for this one, I'm just gonna say that we're gonna keep our eyes peeled for more information, and we'll try to keep you guys posted. I would like to ask the audience members to kind of provide their input here. Maybe because some audience members really have like a very good perspective on things.
Yeah.
So let's see what they say.
And hopefully we'll find her, and hopefully she's okay and well.
Oh man, that would be the best.
Yeah.
Let's definitely
best case scenario.
Best case scenario. Let's hope for the best case here. Thank you guys for listening, and we will hopefully keep producing content on a very regular basis from now on. Let's just keep our fingers crossed. And anything you want to add before we sign out, Rain?
Nothing really, but I guess I just remembered yesterday when I was listening to our latest episode, the audio was better, and I looked back at our previous ones, and it was so bad.
It was so horrible. Actually, for the people who listened to us since oh my God, since way back in the day, like, what are you guys doing? It was so bad. I'm not saying it's amazing right now, but at least we have our own microphones now and we kind of seem to know what we're doing a little bit better. It was so trash.
It sounded like we were recording in a cave.
In a cave. And remember someone commented that it was your podcast was recorded with a potato, and we kind of got a little defensive.
I was confused. I was like, what?
It sounds okay.
Yeah, listening back to it, we did sound like potatoes.
It's a potato.
Potato in a cave.
Oh my God. But yeah, so thank you guys. And
thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, and thank you so much. But yeah, let's keep working on these cases, and we'll talk to you very soon, hopefully. Take care, guys.
See you.
Bye.